Hi everyone, it's me. Yeah, it's really interesting because lately my numbers are going down. I don't really look at that as an indication of anything, but hey, just the way it is. I want to say hi to everyone on Periscope and also on YouTube, and tonight we're broadcasting on Twitch just because we can. It's been a while, you know. Hey Matthew, how are you? Fist bump to you, good to see you. Welcome on YouTube. Yeah, we got like no viewers on, no viewers at all on Periscope or Twitch, which is weird because it never happens. I always got somebody. So we're going to do tonight here over at Skype, going to use Skype. I'm at the High Life. Let me just do this real quick. I'm just going to turn the camera around for a second. You guys know this. This is the notorious High Life. I've been here a bunch of times before. And, whoa, I don't know what that was. I got something going on back there. And I was talking with our friend Dave in Osaka because I went to the High Life here last night to buy some stuff. And he asked me if I was going to stream, and I said no, but I can stream tomorrow. So anyway, we do have our Skype line open. Hey, Dave, welcome on Periscope. Nice to have you with us. Thank you. If you guys aren't following Dave, Dave usually joins us on YouTube, which is interesting. So if you're not following Dave, want to be sure and follow Dave. I guess it's right down here. Now, you know me. It's not like I'm an alcoholic or anything, but I do like to drink in the evenings. And because I work out of my house, sometimes I drink in the afternoon too, but not every day. That's actually something we never really talked about. I don't drink every day. I take several days off a week. Got some Jim Beam. Everybody knows what this is. Bourbon. I usually don't drink bourbon, but this bourbon's not bad. My friend Johnny Z, who's the owner of the Real Taiwan, he and I drank a bottle of this one night several years ago. We drank it by the shot, sipping it as we were listening to different bands play. It's pretty cool. And then this is a lemon soda that I got. You can hear it. Now, in Asia, everybody drinks with a straw. So there's a, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little perforated round hole for people to go and you know, stick in there. So now the great part about this broadcast is we have one viewer on Twitch. Want to say hi on Twitch. All the comments can be visible here. So if you're watching on, you know, YouTube, Twitch, or Periscope, when you make a comment on your platform, other people will see. Mirna, how are you? My goodness, it's good to see you. Mirna, I always miss you. You know, I want to, just once, gosh, either on Periscope or on Twitch, just once, you know, I want to be able to pop into your stream and say, hi, how you doing? Yeah, it's good to see you too. You seem like such a nice lady, you know, and just, so I just want to, sorry, it just doesn't work out. Time zone and stuff. I think a lot of times you're streaming, I'm probably asleep, but once or twice, because, you know, I have the Twitch app on my mobile and I have notifications, and I do follow you on Twitch, right? So if you go live on Twitch, I get a notification. And then I go there and you're already done. So now I want to ask you a question while I got you here. Mirna, you always you show, I believe, which is the front of your apartment, there's a big tank. Is that like an oil storage tank out there? Is that what that thing is? Because it looks awesome. All right, so this is Jim Beam with a Taiwan style lemon soda. Oh, that's way better than I ever would have thought. That's almost like a lady's drink. I don't mean that in a derogatory manner, because I love ladies' drinks. They go down smooth. Those are the kind where, you know, you get up and you walk, and you fall down because you can't walk. It is good. Mark, how you doing? Good to see you. Mark Casey's with us in the house. All right, great. Got the whole gang. Now, I'll tell you who's been missing lately, he's really, really busy, is our good friend Casper. You know, Casper hasn't been around. He's been doing a lot of investment and development work in Taiwan, and suddenly had to go back to Netherlands. The reason I bring Casper up is because there's a restaurant in Taiwan called Formosa, and it's a really nice restaurant, and he knows it too, and he loves it. And I just found out today that Lay's has a Formosa flavor. Now, it doesn't say this exactly in, sorry, over here in Chinese, but this is what we call it lu ro, which is a stewed meat, and it's a beautiful brown gravy and stewed pork, and it's kind of salty. Not too salty, you know what I mean, just enough, right? And it's over rice. And this is the Formosa and I have eaten this. And my wife and I eat it Formosa like every other week. They got like, a lot of Taiwan food is like soul food. When I lived in Boston, we had a soul food restaurant called Bob the Chef's. And I used to love that. And Formosa is like that. You know, you can get these pork trotters, you know, pig's feet and stuff. And in Taiwan, it's common to eat pig intestine and all kinds of organ meats that were traditionally soul food and also southern food, other than the States. So actually, I like it because I like that kind of food a lot. All right. So we got our Jim Beam and our lemon soda and our Formosa chips. Now let me show you a couple things. I want to show you some stuff here. Got some stuff to show you. This is funny. So I ran across this yesterday. I showed Dave. You know, everybody knows that I'm a big fan of Moosehead, right? But Moosehead has this pale ale. And it's not the usual green cans. Matter of fact, I got them right here. Yeah, thanks, Matthew. I got it right here, but because it doesn't have that green color, I almost missed it. So I got these last night. They're very pale, very light, but look at the mousse, man. The mousse is like an etching. It's really awesome. So I like that a lot. So there's that. And of course, this is what I got tonight. Just in case you're wondering, that's the, and the alcohol wipes in the back on the upper left. But that's the soda and everything. And I'm going to use this as my my YouTube thumbnail. So, and this is a close-up of the chips, so you can see a little bit better. That's what it looks like. You know, it's easier to see like that. Except for that little, you know, thing there. Now, everybody likes Sean Connery, and I ran across this little meme today. It's supposed to be a quote from him, so this is interesting. So, I can't do a very good Sean Connery, you know. I've often been asked, what do you old folks do now that you're retired? I can hear him. Well, I'm fortunate to have a chemical engineering background. And one of the things I enjoy most is converting beer, wine, and vodka into urine. I do it every day, and I really enjoy it. 89 years strong. Yeah, good for you, man. Well, that's the thing. You know, Mark, you know I like big flavors. And tonight I went back to the Jar Jar store, and they had that spiced Filipino rum that I love. Well, the real good one. They got 3 or 4 kinds, actually. They've got a white vinegar kind. Yeah, I've been drinking it. A white vinegar kind. They've got a white vinegar with turmeric, but it's also got garlic in it. But this one has garlic, hot peppers, onions, purple onions. And it's so sour that if you take a spoonful, you're like, but it's incredible. And I had it over at Win-Win's, and I went to the little barbecue place. I did not live stream, it was full of people. So I decided to come over here. But I did have you know, some of the barbecue stuff. I had some beef and some Taiwanese sausage on the little skewer. Just popped it in there. Man, oh man. Every bite I'm like, it's heaven. Ken Rod, fist bump to you too. All right. You know, Naren, I'll give you a fist bump too. I don't want to discriminate against ladies. Ladies fist bump too, no problem. All right. Phoenix had a piano recital the other day. And through the magic of Prism Live Studio, I can show it to you if you'd like to see it. It's a very short little piece, but I sat on the far right side of the auditorium, actually closer to the piano. The piano was over there. I had my tripod up real high, so actually there's not much like annoying stuff going on, because usually what happens is like this. I'm trying to photograph something, and then what happens is I see this. Somebody's got their phone, you know, and it's in their way. In fact, there's a woman that I used to, at this other school my kid went to. I got my Nikon with the zoom lens, and just I'm getting ready to take a picture. This woman, the same one, jumps in front of me, and what's she doing? She's waving an iPhone. Will you get out of the way? Doesn't even know. And in Asia, that's what people do. They just walk in front of you. They don't, you know, what's behind. It's like you know, it's like the first rule of Italian racing. What's behind me is not important, you know. So yeah. Anyway, would you like to see Phoenix's piano recital? And also, it would be a good test, because if you have your earbuds, I would like to know, is it playing on primarily on the left side or on the right side? That's what I'd like to know. So I'm going to open these and let them breathe like a fine wine. Now, we do have our Skype line open. So, Myrna, or anybody else, I'd like to hear from you. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. All right. Let's show the recital. It's only a minute or two long. We got Phoenix's this Yamaha piano about 2 weeks ago, and she's really happy with it, and she loves it, and it's making her a lot stronger, you know, finger wise. So anyway, so here it is. Here is the piano recital, and this is what happened. Now, after the violinists played, oh, sorry about that. They moved the mics out of the way, and they left the mic on the piano. So here she is. I know, she's 7 years old. Okay, I want to try something. There's a share left side sound. Okay, thank you. There's a share icon here. Oh, this is interesting. This never happened before. I'm going to try to share this broadcast to Twitter and see. Select a link, Periscope, Twitter or YouTube. Oh, which one do I want people to view? I want people to... Oh, no. Don't do... Oh, wait a minute. This is still... Periscope is running in the back. I mean, this is amazing. Oh, that's amazing. You know what just happened? This is crazy. I just shared the YouTube link on Prism Live while it went up in the corner and it minimized, and I can still see it running. This program just gets better and better all the time. So anyway, so thank you, Dave. Thank you, Ken, for the report, and thank you, Matthew. Now, you know, I'm her father, so naturally, obviously, I'm biased. I will tell you, you know, Phoenix is not a genius. I mean, she's very smart, but I'm being realistic. She's not a child prodigy, but any more than I am. But you guys know what I can do with music, and you've heard my studio stuff. You know, I know what I'm doing, and I will tell you this. I've always been a very good judge of horse flesh. I can tell you when somebody's faking, when somebody knows what they're doing. And my daughter has an ear. And one thing that you'll notice was she's 7 years old, and this was an auditorium. It was a professional setting, and she just walked up there, set her music down, and played. And one thing I admired about her, and one thing that I commended her for, was not letting the mistake throw you off. Thanks. I mean, she made some mistakes, right? You heard her go, you know, and then she like stopped. But she didn't freak out. See, that's the thing. That's what separates the professionals from the non-professionals. Because there's a video on YouTube that everybody should see. It's Stevie Ray Vaughan, the smoothest guitar switch ever. He broke a string, and the roadie came up with the other string, and he just unhooked it. It's like that. So, exactly. It is challenging her. Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. And you know, that's true, because back in the old days, I would play gigs. I was the lead singer, so if something happened to me, the song was dead. You know, if there's no lead vocal, it's dead, right? But sometimes what would happen, I remember we played an historic gig in Long Island. There was a huge club. Let me tell you, Long Island is amazing. There are clubs in Long Island that are so huge that you can't see from one end to the other. Yes, you're right, Matthew. The club that we played in had a stage in the center, and at two ends of the club were basketball courts where people would just come to the club, go to the locker, change their clothes, play a couple rounds of b-ball, and then go back and watch the band and drink. It was like really, really, really amazing. That's how big this club was. And we had, you know, one of our guitar players, Oliver, I mean, a record company, it was CBS, and also Warner's actually was out to see us, and his amp blew up. But we have spares. We got spares of everything. We got spare guitars, we got spare amps, we got spare everything we need. And so what did he do? Now the band that we had, everybody had to sing. That was a prerequisite. So I was the lead singer, and I had two other guitar players, a bass player and a drummer. So we had 4-part harmony behind the lead vocal. Can you imagine how thick that is? Unless somebody decides that their amp blew up, and it's more important for them to show their butt to the audience turning around and dealing with the amp. When we have a road crew that is so sharp, I'm going to tell you something. On the same show, I don't know how this happened. Somehow, I cut my finger doing something on the guitar, and I don't know. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know. But all I did, it just started to bleed. I cut the index finger on the guitar. I held my finger up, and Squid, we had two guys on our crew, Squid and Clone. And the reason Clone was named Clone was because he was an identical twin of the drummer. Squid came out, and he saw what happened, and he bandaged my finger within like 30 seconds. It was amazing. It was amazing. That's the kind of crew that we had. Oliver did not need to leave the microphone. He just needed to wait because the other guys had already hooked up his cabling to the other amp, to the spare amp, and had it turned on and it was ready to go. But because he was in the back, he wasn't singing and it sounded like crap because we didn't have the vocals. He let it throw him off. And I used to have this discussion with people all the time. The bass players sometimes would go out in front and like try to listen to the sound reinforcement system. So I'd get in the dressing room later and I'd say, Louis, so now you're the band's engineer. What do you mean? Well, I saw you out in front. He says, yeah, I heard something weird with a PA. Okay, so what were you going to do about it? Was a good time. And they were good guys. And they were sober, too. And you know something? They were on time better than the band. And let me tell you, they took care of me. I'm blind without my glasses. I'll tell you that in a minute. They took care of me like... Those guys were incredible. I told them, I said, we pay a sound engineer out front to take care of that. It's his job, and if he doesn't do it, he's going to get a reaming. But guess what? You get a reaming because you weren't in front of your microphone when it was time for you to sing. Because what were you doing? You were standing at the end of the stage listening to the PA. It's not your job. And they used to think, you know, I was a jerk, but not that word. They said something worse. I'm like, guys, we got to be professional. I always wore shades on stage. I don't know if I can you give me a second? I don't. All right, this picture right here. That picture is from 2008. See how I got shades on? But I mean, I got pictures of me back from like 1978. Okay, wearing shades. I don't think I have them. Even in this picture, I'm wearing shades. Okay, I don't think I have the other ones. I'll find them later. But the point is I would take my prescription glasses off and put shades on. I couldn't see anything. It was blurry. And Squid and Clone were so, I mean, they get it. They would have a flashlight. In Squid, I would have my guitar on, and it would be tuned already. And Squid would take me by the arm, and Clone would take me by the other arm and shine the light and go, oh, wait, one step down. Okay, oh, stop. One step up. Okay, turn to the left. It's amazing. Yeah, thanks. It's amazing. Oh, Dave, you know something? You know, you just remind me. I got to show you this one. I got to show you this one again. You know what that is? I got to blow this up. That is a Thai silk shirt I got in Can. Look at it closely. That is a Thai silk shirt, man. Yeah. And so you see how it's got that translucent. I don't even care about what I look. Look at that. You know, look at the picture, man. I mean the shirt. Thai silk. And that shirt, I still have it. It was 800 baht from Can. Handmade. That's about 24 bucks, 25 bucks, guys. That's an amazing shirt. So Squid and Clone were like incredible. And on another gig, this is really strange. I was in the backstage and we were playing, and I decided to touch up my guitar and, you know, and just tune it a little bit. Now, for those of you who don't play guitar, the tuners are nothing more than a barrel that has a hole in it, isn't it? And you put your string through it, and the barrel rotates and it wraps the string around, and then you cut the end off. But that end sticking up can be sharp like a razor. And I was just like turning the tuning key, and my index finger touched one of the cut off pieces of string, and I literally, listen, the reason I'm tuning up is because the announcer is getting ready to announce the band. We're 30 seconds from going on stage, and my finger is bleeding, and it's my index finger. I instantly told Tom, the other guitar player, I said, listen, you have all my solos tonight. You know them. Okay, no problem. That's what we did. We were all cross-trained. If Tom broke a string on a solo, I would take it. I would finish it. That's how. That's, you know, you got to do these kind of things. It's cross-training. You do that in manufacturing, you do that in everything, right? I mean, this is a business. So Squid said, come here. I said, what? And he took my finger and he put it under his arm, so I can't see it. Okay, so you know, my finger's over like this, and it's if you can imagine, it's sticking out from his arm, and I feel him doing something. It's like, what's he doing? He says, okay, so you're all set. And I'm like, what? He goes, I super glued it. Ladies and gentlemen, blah blah blah. Here they are, and we went on stage, and I played the whole show. And I didn't feel any pain, didn't feel nothing. It was perfectly glued together, because you know it says bonds skin instantly. There's a reason. You better drop and go like this, and you're Jack Benny the whole night, because it ain't coming off. And that's what happened. It bonded that, right? So I played the whole show, and I completely forgot about it. And like a week later, yeah, that's right. A week, exactly. A week later, I was like, oh, wow. And I remember looking at it, and it had formed a protective pad, and the skin underneath it healed, and it just fell off. Well, those glues were originally designed for surgery. I mean, what do you think they, you know, when they're putting a crown on? See, there's cyanoacrylates. Cyano means cyanide. Of course, if you, like, drink it, you're going to die. But once the vehicle, that is, once the liquors in the chemical compound evaporate, it's no longer poisonous. So the dentists tell you not to do it because they don't want to lose money, but if your crown falls off, you can get some super glue and you're all done. Of course, you have to dry it. But that's what they use. And so they super glued my finger. And that was like one of the coolest things, you know, that's one of my experiences from my youth. So those guys were good. If you guys can find a crew like that, whatever it takes, you know, you got to keep them happy, right? And many times in the old days, when times were lean, I chose not to get paid so they could, because I think what they did was more important. All right, look, it's time for the Formosa Chang chips. Now, they've been open for a while. Now, you know what I usually do? Give them a big, strong whiff. It is awesome, isn't it? Now, these taste, smell, they smell a little wimpy. They have the usual monosodium glutamate, and I'm not kidding you, I can tell that. Monosodium glutamate, black pepper, fried potatoes. They don't smell like anything. This is how it always starts. You guys have seen me do like dozens of these, or not even, well, a dozen. And it's always the same thing. I'm like, yep, that smells like monosodium glutamate, black pepper, and nothing. And then what happens? We start to eat them, and they're amazing. Okay, so let's try this. It's not hitting me yet. So far, I'm only getting the potatoes. So maybe I need to hit a little more of a quantity. Okay. All right. I'm going to give this one more shot. I know it's not me. My senses are really, you know, they're on high alert. Barely. Less than any of these other flavored chips. I can go there and get some of those steak chips. I can get the crab. I can get the chicken wings. Kimmy, how are you? Nice to have you with us. Fist bump to you. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us again, Kimmy. All right. As much as I like Formosa Chang, and I like the lu roe over the rice, if I did not know that that's what this flavor was, I wouldn't have guessed it. It's way down. As an audio engineer, let me just say it's like 60 dB down from where it should be. Disappointing. Disappointing. And these are made by PepsiCo Foods in Taiwan. In Tainan City, that's in southern Taiwan. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I just saw something bad. Oh my goodness. Can you see this word? I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I gotta go in the back camera. I cannot eat any more of these. Do you see this word? Phenylketonuria. This word says not to use this. If you are a phenylketonuria, don't eat these. Guess what I am? I can't eat these. Phenylketonuria are people who cannot process artificial sources of phenylalanine, which is the main ingredient in artificial sweeteners such as NutraSweet. And phenylalanine, in particular NutraSweet and diet soda, is responsible for the surgical removal of 5 years of my life that I spent on the floor of my dining room most days. Or sometimes in the bedroom, often in the restroom, with my head, my face up against the commode because it's big and cold. Because phenylalanine, for phenylketonuria, results in an 8-hour migraine headache of such intensity that if you had a gun in the house, you would kill yourself just to end the pain. If somebody gave me a knife that said if I slit my wife's throat, it'll go away, I would do it. Yes, because I didn't eat that much. Yeah, I'll be okay. Thank you. Yeah, Matthew, you gotta be careful. You know what? I have never run across that in chips. I'm gonna show this to my wife. This is nuts, man. Phenylketonuria. I'm just reading one that says in Chinese. This is ridiculous. Yeah, but you know something? You know something, Kim? I didn't check. I never ran across it before. It never occurred to me. I was looking at the back. I wanted to look at who made it and, you know, look at the other stuff about it. Because, you know, it says, I mean, it says there's, it's 2.9% sugar. And if you look here, it's 55.2% carbohydrates and stuff. So Really? Well, you saw me, I had like a couple of handfuls. Listen, if you want to join and talk, give me a call on Skype. We have our second device. We have our beautiful Xiaomi remote speaker that will feed into the phone. It's not even high tech, you know, which is amazing, because I was the vice president of engineering for the second largest talk radio network in the United States in the 90s, and I know exactly how to put callers on the air with a mix minus and the console and the whole thing, but we don't have to do that. I can just turn it on my Bluetooth speaker. This cool thing about this speaker is this is the volume control. Hear it? Yeah. That's really cool. But I will say this. The reason it says phenylketonuria in English is because this is a PepsiCo product. If you go to any one of these other things in here in the store that are produced by non-foreign companies, produced by indigenous companies, you have to figure out what the heck they're saying in Chinese. And they use a couple of terms that are confusing, because it could mean artificial flavors, but it could also mean artificial sweeteners. There's one that uses the word celestial tin, or maybe it's the same word used for day, like Jingtian, like today's tin. But that's one of them. But there are, it's just in Chinese, it's not really that well defined. It's hard, because like I have gone to the front of the store, you know, with a bottle of something in my hand, not alcohol, and I told them, you know, I'm allergic to fake sugar, artificial sugar, you know, and I just, and in Chinese you just say, 我有过敏, 过敏 is an allergy, and so they understand, you know, and I ask them, does this have, you know, sweetener that's real or fake? And they're like, I don't know, they can't tell by looking at it, so that's the problem. That's the problem. But one time I did buy some kind of drink, and this is the other thing too, because like I love my soda water, you know, and we call it chi pao sui in Chinese, and it was really popular for a while. If you look over there, there might be some Schweppes, but they're the ones that didn't have any flavors. Then they brought the ones with the lime flavor in, and they brought more complex ones in, and you taste them and they're sweet, but you look at them. I have a soda stream at home and I use it a lot. It's a good idea, you're right. But I'll look at the thing and it'll say, this is a Chinese word for sugar, tan. So I'll look at the bottle and it says 0, so there's no sugar. And I'll open up and I'll take a sip and it tastes sweet, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, wait a minute. So I remember I went to a store and I bought like one of the soda waters, and I took it in my car. I was getting ready to go home, and I opened up the car and I took a sip of it and spit it out the window. I tasted that metallic, artificial, weird sweetener flavor, and I looked at it and I couldn't tell. It just said artificial flavors. That's what it said. So I just walked back into the store and I told the guy, I said, I can't drink this because I'm allergic to it. And amazingly, he just said, okay. And he gave him the receipt, he gave me my money back, no questions asked. It was amazing. So, you know, in other places, not in Taiwan, I've had to argue with people about that. So, it's one good thing about Taiwan. Now, I see we have a viewer on Twitch, and I want to invite you to join the conversation. We're just talking about, you know, anything that's on your mind. So we have our Skype device, And it is, I'm not sure, let me do this. It may be that this is a little bit harder to see, but it is actually just Taiwan Live TV, one word run together, Taiwan Live TV. You find us on Skype, and you call Taiwan Live TV, and you're going to get me right here on this little device, and we can have a little conversation. Now, you don't have to use video. Coco's called a couple of times. It was nice. We had our old friend Bernardo, and Rob called, I think it was last week. Dean's called, Ken's called, Scott. I haven't seen Scott for a while. We've even had Nicole for quite a while ago, Mo, and John Sabot and I have been having some private conversations about some technical aspects, you know, with podcasting and so forth. But seriously, you know, we'd love to hear from you. I'm using Skype Lite because it actually works better on this older Samsung device, and it doesn't bog things down. So, all right. So just because we can, we're just going to take a quick break here just for a second.
Hi, this is Dave in Osaka, live from Greenland, and you're watching Taiwan Live TV with MJ Klein.
All right. Now, I was reading some interesting stuff tonight. Evidently, there's a big feud going on with the band Kiss. And with Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Now, those of you who are followers of mine for a long time know that I have a little history with Kiss. It's funny. I was actually invited to audition for them when Ace Frehley quit. It's interesting. And according to the person who got me the invite, almost got the gig. They went with Vinnie Vincent as lead guitar player because they had been songwriting with Vinnie, and you know, songwriting is the most important thing when you're talking about being in a recording band and selling records. So I perfectly understand why they chose him. They didn't know me, but they, you know, as far as my guitar playing and singing and all that stuff, it wasn't an issue. It was about the songwriting. But let me tell you something about these kind of feuds. You know, you've got super egos and super rich people, and especially the older that we get, and we all do this, the more we want to be relevant. See, when you're super young, and this happens a lot too, you know, all the younger stars, they're relevant every single day, stuff comes out and stuff, but these older stars, guys like me in his mid-60s, you know, and Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are older than I am, you know, they're still trying to be relevant, and I'm not saying that they're not. They are. It's just that they're trying to remain relevant. And so a lot of this stuff that you see that's going on, don't believe it. Because I know for a fact that a lot of these kind of feuds that go on in the music business is engineered by their management just to get people involved, keep people talking. In fact, when I was in high school, my high school band was already a recording. Hey, Rob, how you doing? My high school band was already a recording band. So, yeah, and it was cool because it was just a mail-in audition. I didn't even have to go to New York. See, I was in Boston. They already knew who I was because I did in my youth enjoy a very good reputation, and they knew who I was. They knew the people who recommended me were from the band New England, and Paul Stanley had produced their first album. So like when they told him who I was like, okay, good. So right in front of me, Jimmy, who's the keyboard player for New England, Jimmy Waldo, he's been playing with Alcatraz ever since. He called George Sewitt, their road manager, right in front of me, and George says, have him send me a tape and send me a short bio. Just handwrite it, doesn't matter. and a couple pictures. So I had some snapshots, and you know, I had some professionally recorded 24-track stuff by then. I mean, I've been recording since I was really young. So anyway, I didn't have to actually go down there. I went to New York City for another audition, but that's another story altogether. So anyway, what you hear is like, it's not exactly what it is, but there's a band called Nantucket. Coco, how you doing? You know, I was just thinking about you, and I mentioned you because you had called us before on Skype, you know, right? Nice to see you. Always a pleasure. My friend Tommy Red played with a North Carolina band called Nantucket, and they did 3 albums on Epic Records. And Nantucket did a tour with Kiss. Now the main songwriter, he's not the lead guitar player, he's a rhythm guitar player, but he's their songwriter. His name is Tommy Red. Tommy Red is actually a brilliant songwriter. Nantucket nowadays has gone into obscurity, but you guys can find them. They're on YouTube. Nantucket. They used to be called Nantucket Sleigh Ride, and they got the name chopped at by the record company. They got signed to Epic Records the same year that, like the same month, that Meatloaf did. And Tommy Red told me that Meatloaf and Nantucket attended each other's signing parties. And so Nantucket had, like, you know, this huge 50-foot table of lobster, and Meatloaf had a huge 50-foot meatloaf with meatloaf written in ketchup. And of course, you know, Meatloaf said, well, you guys got the better deal because you got the lobster. It's kind of hilarious. But Tommy Red told me, now I'm just quoting I'm just telling you what I heard, okay? But I heard this from Tommy. He said that he got so drunk one night and with Ace that he tried to cut Ace Frehley's arm off with a hacksaw. Tommy Red told me this in the men's room at a club while we were standing at the urinal, you know, respective urinals. Now there's something about men that when we're at the urinal, it's kind of like the confessional. You know, what's said at the urinal stays in the urinal, except in this case because I'm not a priest. But the point is that we don't lie when we're at the urinal. So he told me this other thing about Ace. Now Ace was famous for playing this triple pickup Gibson Les Paul, right? That was his guitar. If you look at these Ace Frehley pictures today, I mean, he has other guitars, but the triple pickup Les Paul. Matthew, take care. Thank you for joining us. You're missing the best part though, but catch you on the replay. So Tommy said that he carried, and Tommy also has a similar story about Ted Nugent. He carried a Gibson Les Paul case around with him all the time. Now, if you see a rock star like Ace Frehley carrying a guitar case, okay, nothing unusual, right? Businessman carrying a briefcase, right? Hunter carrying a rifle case, golfer carrying a golf bag. Ace Frehley's got a guitar case, only Tommy said there was no guitar in it. He said that Ace was out of it so much of the time that he set the case down. He'd forgotten to latch it, and the cover popped open and it was like full of cocaine. That's what he told me. It's full of cocaine. He's had like, who knows how many bags of cocaine were in this guitar case. So Tommy also told me he did a tour with Ted Nugent, And Ted Nugent used to play these big guitars, a Gibson Birdland, which is not a guitar that normally you would use for rock. It's a semi-hollow body. It's hard to control. It's a great sounding guitar and it plays great. And if you look at the concert for Bangladesh in the 70s that George Harrison did, Eric Carmen is playing a Birdland guitar on like While My Guitar Gently Weeps and those other things, right? It is sad. But he's sober now. He's, yeah, terrible Ted. Ace is sober now. He's done with that. So yeah, you can say whatever you want, but you know what? Everybody gets a second chance, right? It's not about who you are, it's about who you are. So here's what happened. Ted used to carry this Birdland case around with him. Now the Birdland is a thick guitar. See, the Les Paul's like about like this, but the Birdland's like this. So the case is like double the size. And Tommy said that he was hanging out with Ted, and he's like, Ted, I really want to like see your Birdland, man. And Ted's like, no, man. He's like, come on, man, I want to see. Ted's like, no, man, don't do it. And he opened it up, and that was his suitcase. He said he had like all his like dirty underwear and stuff in it. He didn't carry a regular suitcase. He carried a guitar case instead of a suitcase. So that's a story for that. So I have never met Ted Nugent, but I've always admired his playing, and I admire the fact that he's totally clean, and he owns land that he hunts on and provides for his family as a hunter. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I think he might even these days be better known in the hunting world. He does like hunting educational videos, and you know, like how to field dress a deer and stuff like that, and you know, how to set up a blind. He's amazing. So, and you would never know that he is as old as he is. All right. This is cool. I don't get a chance to tell many rock star stories, but Tommy Red was playing they played in Boston at the what was it? It wasn't in that club. It wasn't the Orpheum. It'll come to him in a minute. Yeah, you know, so you know what I mean, yeah. Thank you, Matthew. Thanks for sticking around. Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. Rob, you said you're not a hunter, but you enjoy his show. It's because the guy, he's an upstanding guy. He's a moral guy. And the thing that people don't understand about hunters, see, because like when I lived in New Hampshire, I went to hunter education. I went to school. And they talk about, you know, the morality of the shot, that you do not pull the trigger and shoot an animal unless you're going to hit it in the proper manner that will cause it to die instantly, so you can do what? So you can harvest it and eat it, but not just to shoot it, just, you know. And so if the angle's all wrong, you don't take the shot because you might hurt it. It might live for a couple days, or who knows. It's just as terrible thinking about that, about the suffering, and that's not what you want to do. But yeah, so literally and figuratively, exactly. Now, believe it or not, Rob, I've seen Ted Nugent on Periscope a couple of times. He turned the phone on in his house, and he had one of his Birdlands, and he's like going like this, and the guy's like, he's insane, man. He's absolutely insane. I've always wanted to jam with him. It would just be a blast, but who knows? Never had a chance to jam with him. All right. Jam with a bass player from Mahogany Rush once. He was cool. So yeah, I don't get a chance to tell all those stories. I gotta save some. Gotta save some stories. But some of the people, unfortunately, are gone. You know, like Brad Delp. I don't want to start talking about Brad Delp. It'll make me really sad. Singer for Boston. Unbelievable talent and the nicest rock star I've ever met. He's just unbelievable, you know. Now let me tell you this story. I'm not sure if you people would know. You people, sorry, yeah. You guys. You people, I mean, you people that are younger than me, which is like everybody watching me, will remember this person. But anyway, there's a guy named Dave Dassinger, ddmusic.com. He's one of the most successful and prolific studio engineers and songwriters, but he's not the kind of writer that you might think. For example, for like the last 30 years, if you've watched any of the golf tournaments on television, that guy has written the music for it. He did a couple albums with M2May. He did 3 albums with the Isley Brothers. He actually recorded my band in Lou Balinaise's studio, where the Shondells used, you know, like Tommy James and the Shondells. And they told me Billy Joel used to record there too. But anyway, Dave was, he played with a band called The Suits. And their lead singer was Kathleen Turner, the actress. That was really cool. So, now, what I want to, okay, so, oh yeah. So, anyway, I had gone down to New York. I was in Boston. I'd gone down to New York to audition for some cats that were looking for a singer to do an album and a tour. And it didn't look like it was going to work out. But you know, it was cool. It was a cool gig, and these guys had like a small 4-track studio in their New York apartment, which is cool because you could do like a 2-track stereo mix, and you have like 2 other tracks to like bounce some vocals on to you know, for auditions and stuff. So it was really cool. So not like today, like my studio, I got 32 tracks. It's just amazing. So, Rob, I know what you mean, and I think I know why. It's because they were very corporate sounding, and they got this corporate kind of label. But let me suggest one song for you, okay? And what I'd like for you to do is find it. It's on YouTube. Put your earbuds in, you know, have a nice shot of whiskey, and get relaxed. But the song is called A Man I'll Never Be. Okay? You may have heard it, but I'd like for you to give it another listen. A Man I'll Never Be. And I think personally it's Brad Delp's best performance, not because of the, you know, stratospheric vocals that he's doing. It's because of the delivery, you know, he just, anyway. So yeah. Anyway. Oh, so here's the thing. So I'm in New York, and I'm really, they are really good, and they're kind of underrated. I have sort of a story about Mahogany Rush too, because I only met their bass player. I never met Frank Marino, you know, the brilliant, incredible guitarist. If you guys look at YouTube under Frank Marino, I mean, he does some like Jimi Hendrix tunes and stuff. He's the guy. He's off the charts. He's like 70 years old now. He's still got it. But my organization, if you go to mjk.asia, this is if you go to mjk Asia. This is what I'm doing now. But my organization back then, the MJK Project, we were friendly with Alec, who was their manager, and so I have a story about that too. I've told before. It involves Marlon Brando. It's actually quite humorous. But what I wanted to mention though about Dave was I was in New York City for this audition, and I went to the audition, and I had nothing to do, so I called Dave up and I went over to the studio where he was at. And now this is really interesting. He says, "Hey man, I've been working with this chick." Yeah, he says, "She's really good, and the stuff that she's doing, I think, kind of lines up with the stuff that you're doing, and I'd like to hook you guys up." And I'm like, "Well," she's in New York and I'm in Boston. I'm like, "Well, okay, but I got to catch a plane back to Boston." He's like, "Yeah, I know, so I'll see what I can do." And it never happened. But that person, he told me her name. It was Patty Smythe, who went on to do two songs that you can find videos for, "Goodbye to You" and another one called "The Warrior." She's actually, in my opinion, very good. And one of those singers that deserves a lot more credit and attention than what they got. But I will tell you this. My involvement in the music business was not just on the performance side. I was a recording engineer and a record producer. I mean, I spent, let me put it to you this way. If studio time was cockpit time, I'd be a 747 pilot. I've done like 500 mixes on 24 tracks, and so like in my house, in my studio, in my house, I've got actually, yeah, see what I'm talking about? I've actually got two, recording consoles, and the funny thing is I haven't worked on my own music for 2 months. I've been doing other people's mixes and mastering. But yeah, so my friend Dave Dassinger, ddmusic.com, he recorded the demo that got her record contract. The guy's really good, and he's got a lot of heart and a lot of soul, and he's a father, he's a husband. And you want to know something else about Dave that I admire? It's incredible. In his 50s, he decided that he wanted to give back to his community. So he became a volunteer fireman. And they sent him to, like, what do you call it? The fireman's boot camp? The fireman's, training center? He said, the instructor said to him, "You're the oldest guy we've ever had here." But he's buff, man. He's in shape. He's like, and he did it. And he was, for however long he did it, I don't know. But it was a non-trivial amount of time. He was a volunteer firefighter in his community. Over 50. I mean, to start, it's incredible. So that's the kind of guy he is. But the records that he did were just astonishing. Well, Rob, I'm gonna say no, because they were all Boston bands, and although they had some notoriety in Boston, You know, it's a fickle business. And, you know, people always ask me that. You know, I got to tell you, when I look at like websites and I see, you know, Grammy nominated or Grammy award winner, that doesn't mean diddly squat. It doesn't matter if you've got Aerosmith in the studio or you've got Johnny Turd and the Commodes. It's the same issues. It's the same stuff, you know. I did a merengue album that was produced. That was actually mixed and produced by John Fosti in Puerto Rico, who was like this huge Latin American producer. I never heard of the guy. I just did the tracks, and they sent him the 2-inch tape. But in 1986, I recorded 40 different bands. One of my favorites was a band called Capture the Flag. Now, if you do an internet search on a record company called Throbbing Lobster, I don't name them, Throbbing Lobster. There's a 1985 Spin magazine article where they came to the studio where I worked, and they used my real name, and they quote me a little bit on it, on some of the things that I said. But Throbbing Lobster was one of the local record companies that did a huge compilation album, and there were quite a number of bands. Some of them were just, but a number of them were actually very good. And this was a time when there were so many bands. American Teen, the Stompers were huge. I didn't really like the Stompers, but American Teen I thought was very, very good. But I'm gonna say no. You probably haven't heard any of those bands. But as you know from your business, the work that you do is just as valid if you're working for a small company, you know, or a big company, right? So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? I did some studio sessions with Ellis Hall. Of course, you know, if you guys know who he is, he was working with Jamie Foxx on the movie Ray. But Ellis is like an alien. He's so good. I mean, he's my age, and he's still doing stuff like when he was in his 20s. He's just crazy. Armstead Christian, who's now passed away. He was a professor at Berkeley College of Music. You know, so yeah. But you know, Rob, I got married, and I took my family responsibilities seriously, you know, and I just decided that I wasn't gonna try to, you know, heavily pursue that and go as far as I could. It just wasn't what I wanted to do at the time. So yeah. Anyway. But I maintain relationships with all those people. And the interesting thing is, one of my friends in high school, in fact, I just emailed him yesterday. He's a professor of history at the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa. And so some of those guys that I used to hang out with went on to do some incredible and amazing things. Whereas I ended up having severe medical problems, and I got kind of knocked out of the ring for a long time. Which is weird, because it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, I've got a new studio, right? And I'm doing all these new tracks. And sometimes people ask me, you know, well, aren't you too old to be doing this stuff? And I go, no. Because I got a big chunk of my life that's gone, man. I'm only 40. I'm not 64, I'm 40. So that's it. And all of the, you know, the audio tools that I'm using, have demonstrated to me that my hearing is still pretty good, because I am doing some new mastering work. There's an author from North Carolina. His name is Robert Monahan, and he recently contacted me, and he's contracted me to do some mixing and some mastering work for him. So if you look on, I guess he released some stuff on Spotify and Amazon. But Robert Monahan, just like it sounds, Monahan, and you can find him on SoundCloud and some other platforms. And any of that stuff that he's got going on, as far as I know, as I've been able to tell, all that stuff that he's got going on is stuff that I have mixed or mastered. So take care, Rob. Thanks so much. I actually, it's 26 after midnight. I actually should go too. So this is interesting. We've had a nice conversation, and it hasn't been like, let's just check. You know, it hasn't been like it has in the past, where I've had like 4,000 views or something on Periscope. This is crazy. It's just been so fickle. I probably have like, yeah, see, total 33 viewers on Periscope. That's about right. But you know, if you go back like just 2 or 3 Periscopes before, oh, Dave's second account following me. Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, the thing is I think these numbers are more real. Rob, you take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, sir. All right, I think with that, I think it's time to go. I want to say thank you to my sponsor, ivideo.com.tw. In the description or the profile of the platform you're viewing on, you'll find a 10% discount code. They provide these beautiful rental Wi-Fi boxes. Are fantastic, because even if you have a non-4G phone, when it comes time for 5G, just go to ivideo.com, get one of these, and you're on 5G. So they rent mobile-based Wi-Fi internet all over the world. I've used them in Thailand, of course in Taiwan where I live, and when I went to the States in 2018, man, I had the T-Mobile box. It was unbelievable. It was fantastic. So you guys take care. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you later on, probably over the weekend. Thanks so much for joining, and if you're so inclined, please follow me on YouTube. That's where I need the follows. I have the slowest growing YouTube channel in existence. You guys take care. Thanks so much for joining. See you next time. Thanks, Ken Rod. I will. I'm going to sleep great, because we killed this. Bye-bye now. I'm going to say Taijian one on Taiwan. Thank you, and bye-bye. Oh yeah, I got to do this again. The big finger.